physically getting ill, so we haven't had to deal with too much of that. But oh, that was treacherous. Why? Yeah, and when they were little, it wasn't. I don't know. I guess it was okay. I mean, we had the some of the other diaper issues that were a little rougher, but I mean, this stuff was. It was. He'd had a whole. He'd went to a birthday party, and I think he just ate too much, and it was a bunch of like red. It was all red from the red frosting on the birthday things, and I'm not gonna lie, I may have had to follow suit slightly just because I tried to do it as best I could, and eventually I didn't full on, but it was at least a halfie.
Even though I realized that we're online, though. As I was trying to remember the first time Lily threw up, I was thinking when she was younger, probably about a year and a half, 2 years, she was sick and we were at a place, we were doing a thing, and she got sick as we were coming home, and we're trying to get her back to the hotel room because we know that she's, not feeling well and something's going to happen, and I'm carrying her, and we're running down the hall, and she's like, "Daddy," and I'm like, "Yeah," and I look at her, and just as I say yeah, she throws up in my mouth. Because I was saying yeah to her, and I didn't lose it then, and I figure, man, if that can happen and I don't follow suit, I must be solid. Like, I just don't think anything.
Yeah, and for me, it's not the touching it, it's not the visual, it is 100% the smell.
Yep. Yep.
The smell. It's the killer.
That was one of they say they don't hear me.
Oh, it's already, it's been fixed.
Okay. Yep. So we got some stuff, we got some notes.
Yeah.
Need some lip lube.
Oh yeah, I was gonna add a link to that.
Yeah, do that one.
Copy.
This is how much I love you guys. I've turned off both my space heater and my humidifier.
Okay, I'll turn off my heater.
I can't hear yours, so leave it on.
Oh.
Mine, I think, makes noise. I did leave my foot heater on, though.
Yeah, see, I stand up for the show, so I don't get the foot heater.
Well, you can slide it out.
Yeah, but then I'd be stepping on it, and I might hurt it.
Well, we don't want that.
No, we don't want to hurt the foot heater.
We do not. So we got it all.
Yeah, so we got way too much in there. I'm going to Boston after the show, so
all right. I assume that Lori is ready. Let's put J after B.
Okay.
Do you see the connection betwixt B and J?
You're on fire. Oh my goodness, you stupid thing. Paste the whole thing. Thank you. Like so?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't actually look at what B is, but in my E, I mean, that's a pretty cool script.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
It was first time I got to write something productive in PowerShell in a long time.
I've been hitting PowerShell a lot lately, just having a bunch of little messes to clean up for customers in PowerShell. It's been pretty fun. They say they just lost me.
Just Mark. Blocked you from him.
Lori, too.
Uh,
I'm over here.
XSplit is streaming you.
Oh, whew, I'm back. Thank goodness.
I didn't do nothing there. That's I pasted something in OneNote.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
Better than that.
OneNote's gearing up to go blank, I'm certain.
Well, we should probably start this then before it goes blank again.
Wait, so for 1B, is it I don't see anything.
Oh yeah, I was just hovering over that to do that myself. Well, I think that's part of it then.
That's when you paste stuff, it's covering him. That makes no sense whatsoever.
And it is sad, and I demand a recount.
That doesn't pop over you. That doesn't pop over you. That doesn't pop over you. Good job on your Twitter meme work. That would pop over you, but I don't need that.
Well, for the podcast?
Yeah.
I studied under one of the masters.
I don't understand. All right. So apparently if I open up anything, you just disappear. I got nothing. I just won't. No using the mouse. This mouse is on its last day. It knows. Let's see. Eric's chiming. He's a magician. Okay. Yeah. Let's do this thing. Let's see what happens.
All right. Visual cue. 3, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Todd and Shane's Cloudy Podcast, episode 425, recorded live Wednesday, March 6th, 2019. And if we'd have been smart, we'd have recorded it yesterday so that 425 and live and March 5 all rhymed, but we're not that clever.
Yeah, we're clearly not that clever. And, I mean, I would have argued, though, so 425 does not have an HTTP response code, so we probably were supposed to skip 425. We should have done 426 today, which would have rhymed with March 6th, so...
It would have, yeah. So we've been kind of leaning on the old HTTP codes, and now that we're starting to go towards the tail end of them, we're going to have to come up with our own titles and all that again. It's going to be a lot of work for us.
I know, and it's interesting, right? The way that why are they just plowing through 424, 426, and they just skipped it. I'm guessing 425 was something, they argued over about the Twitter fail whale or something like that again. So they just nope, can't do it.
That's it. If we can't decide on a 425, nobody gets a 425. Everybody loses it.
Very rude.
Probably so. But one thing we don't have to lose is our very professional looking syskit sign here with depth, because it's got the shading and all of that.
I would like to point out that it looks like, I don't know how this is physically possible, but maybe your house is settling. The logo is now a little askew. So it was fully something I supported, but now the right side is slightly lower than the left side. The T is the lowest letter.
I can see that. I'll get a level for next week. Well, we'll have to talk about next week because I will be gone next week, and then you will maybe be gone next week, and then we'll both be gone the week after that, and we'll have to figure that all out. But sometime in the next month, we will get a level, and we'll see what's up with that. But thanks to the folks at Syskit. They make a lot of fine products. Go to syskit.com, sign up for their newsletter, download the demos of their products, download their free products. They have free products too. I don't know how they do it. We've got some great stuff with those guys. So check out syskit.com.
That's good old Syskit. Those guys, I'm surprised they're not sick of you yet. I mean, is your logo really worth that much? Because
I do some stuff for them in the background, but to your point, I am also amazed every month when we send them an invoice and they pay me, and I'm like, really? No way.
That's an accounting error.
Yeah, it's like whatever in Office Space, Milton or whoever.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
So speaking of things getting the axe, like Office Space, saw some sad news this week. The Microsoft Band app and the health dashboard are going away at the end of May.
Aww.
What else can I say? So this is sad. Not that any of us have used a band in the past, couple of years. But when we were using the band, all of our data was getting pushed up to the Microsoft Health dashboard. And that's going away. So after May 31st of 2019, you won't be able to get to that data anymore. So we both had the band. I think I used mine a little longer than you used yours, but it was a pretty decent device. And I saw some threads about this, and somebody's like, "Oh, I'm really going to miss the band." And I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't miss the band so much as I miss the potential of the band, what it could have been, and they didn't do with it. But I did go out yesterday or the day before and went out to the health dashboard and exported all of my stuff. So if you were a band user for a while, I don't remember the URL, but if you search for Microsoft Health Dashboard, which is different than Microsoft Health, so Microsoft Health Dashboard, once you get logged in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see your name, and if you click there, there's an export data, and you can pick all the things that you export, and it'll shoot it out to a CSV file or an Excel file, and that has all of my stuff in it. So I did that so they can take it all away, and I won't miss it anymore.
Now, do you think they're really just doing this so they can wait 6 months and come out with a marketing campaign? We got the band back together. Right.
No, I think and Mark Chrisman's also throwing out Band on the Run, so that's also a good one. No, I think they really have just given up on the band. And when I was out there the other day trying to download my workout stuff, the website seemed really slow and sluggish, and I feel like they're already taking the servers that back that up, already starting to allocate those resources to something else. They're just slowly shutting it all down. But yeah, that was sad. I'll miss that.
Yeah, I'm with you. And so the band, like you, right? I saw a lot of potential. It was interesting for me because I discovered something about myself through the band. I know it was one of those moments. No, one of the things that I realized is that I don't like to wear that type. I can't wear anything on my wrist. I can't. So I bought the band. I really enjoyed it. I was really happy with it, but I just couldn't handle something on my wrist all day. And so that was the reason I stopped using it. And so, since then, I would love one of these smartwatch things, right? I think that'd be so neat, but I just can't wear that. I don't wear my wedding ring, right? For the same reason. I
assume it's because your wife doesn't want anybody to think that you're married to her. I think is probably the reason.
Maybe that's the reason she hides it from me. But either way, it's a win-win because I don't want to wear it. I can't handle stuff on my hands or wrists. So I don't know. It's a weird affliction I realized I had.
So you might be. I mean, you're weird in so many ways. We could do a whole podcast on that. I think the band is not a good representation of what wearables are like because it was built and felt like it was built in Soviet Russia in the early 1970s. I mean, it was the first one. The one that you had was blocky and horrible. It was pretty rough. I had the actual opposite experience. So I had the Band 2. The Band 2 died. I got Samsung something or another. I think that's the official name for it. But they were all smart devices, so I would wear my watch on one wrist and the other thing on the other wrist if I was going out. And when I finally switched over to the Garmin, it does all of the clock watchy things. I mean, it looks like a watch. It doesn't look like a smart device. So I can't wear it and a watch because then I look like a turd wearing two watches. So I quit wearing a watch and I only wear this. And still, I mean, I'm legitimately like 2 years later, I still get that phantom thing where I'm like, oh my God, my thing's gone because it's not on my right wrist anymore. So I'm the other way. If I don't have one there, I still miss it after all this time. Yeah,
and so I have a really nice watch, and I can't wear it. Like when Nicola and I have like special occasion stuff, I wear my watch and my ring. And I just feel like I'm gonna die.
And your good sweatpants, your really good sweatpants.
Even every now and then for her, I will not wear the good sweatpants. I will put on blue jeans. I mean, I will not wear dress pants or a suit or anything like that, but I will put on blue jeans.
See, I have seen pictures of you in a suit, so you can't. That exists. I was shocked the first time I saw it, but. Yes.
That was all golfing related, though. That was
nothing to do with the wife or societal norms, but if golf's involved.
Yeah, I don't wear suits to weddings. I'm a bad human being.
Yeah, you really are. But if you had a band, get it. Make sure you back all your stuff up because here in a couple of months you're not going to be able to anymore, and there's all that. Microsoft taketh away, but Microsoft giveth. I saw a weird story. I almost don't believe this, and I haven't had a chance to try it yet. But coming to the Excel mobile app, so I think first it's going to be on Android and then on iOS. They are adding some functionality to the Excel mobile app that you can take a picture of of structured data, like a table in a magazine or in a newspaper or something like that, take a picture of it, and the Excel mobile app will turn it into a spreadsheet. That is just like, that can't be real. That is black magic. Can't be done.
Yeah, the things, right, I'm 100% certain it's going to the cognitive services and the Vision API, right? That the stuff that thing can do already is just creepy and weird, but really, really helpful when like you're, hey, I got all this crappy data written down, I got to transcribe it. Nope, I'll take a picture and push it over to Excel. Is pretty darn cool.
That is insane. So it's supposedly on Android now. I have not seen it in the app, and the link that I've got said it's coming soon, so I don't think it's out yet. But that is just insane. So one of the things that I enjoy here at our house is my wife is an accountant, and that gives us one of the coolest magazines ever in existence, the Journal of Accountancy. Now, I don't want to. I know it sounds like bragging and like I'm, but we get the Journal of Accountancy on a monthly basis, and so I saw this link the day that this month's Journal of Accountancy came, which is a big day at the Clint household. And so I immediately sifted through and found a table of data in the Journal of Accountancy, and then whipped out my phone with much glee and anticipation, and could not find it in the app. So I don't think it's there yet.
Is the other magazine you guys get Cat Fancy? I just have to assume Cat Fancy is the other one that you guys get.
No, but we should. There are a couple of members of my household that would really enjoy it.
Right? I mean, right? I'm not being mean or facetious. I mean,
you are being mean, but
your daughters would be like, Cat Fancy, woo, woo, woo.
Yep. So I used to make fun of, well, I still make fun of my wife for getting Journal of Accountancy because it is such a nerd. Like, I thought I was the nerd in the family, but she's edged ahead. And for a long time, and even now periodically, when the mail will come, I'll have one of the kids hold the Journal of Accountancy and do some really excited look on their face, and then I'll send it to her while she's at work. I'm like, I don't want you to leave work early or anything, but just know when you get home today, new Journal of Accountancy is waiting for you.
Does she read it?
Yes. She would like to make fun of me for making fun of her, but she actually does enjoy the Journal of Accountancy. And a buddy of mine, his wife is also an accountant, and she also gets the Journal of Accountancy. So when the four of us get together, oh.
And does she like it for the articles?
She doesn't ever let me be around when she reads it, so I don't know. I've asked her to centerfolds and stuff.
Just big data spreadsheets, you just bust it out.
You pull it out, it's a big spreadsheet, you turn it sideways.
And it's like, look, here is your books in GAAP format, in non-traditional GAAP, and in straight up breaking the law GAAP, right? I mean, what I just imagine, he'd be like, ooh, ah, woo!
Exactly. You got it. So yeah, the Journal of Accountancy, folks, if you need me to do any promos for you or anything like that, I would be happy to talk about what an exciting day it is when the Journal of Accountancy shows up.
Yeah, and I only slightly mock her, so I don't know, I'm sure we haven't really talked about it here, but my minor in college was accounting, right? So I get it all. I understand how exciting that type of stuff can be.
My degree is in business, so I took many accounting classes when I was in college. So yeah, I totally, I can hang, not as well as she can, but we can chat about the Journals of Accountancy articles.
Man, now I want a subscription. Is it like $1 or $10 for 1 month, or is it, or no, wait, $1?
I assume it's by invitation only. I don't imagine that anybody can just, you don't just, one does not simply subscribe to the Journal of Accountancy.
Yeah, it's probably one of those ones like, what's the one we used to get, one of those econ ones. It's like, $120 a year for a subscription for like 5 issues or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like Harvard Business Review or something.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a good piece there. You should tell her she should tune in this week to listen to us talk about her.
She's so sick of the Journal of Accountancy jokes. So not only can the camera on your phone turn hot accountant data into spreadsheets, you found another great use for it.
Yeah, so it turns out that those lovely phones also have built-in barcode scanners. And so Power Apps now has a control that lets you completely exploit those barcodes so you can get data entered in. So popped out a video this week. I'd had one previously, but Microsoft revved it, so the barcode stuff was so awesome I had to make major revisions to it. So it's gotten even better. So I popped a little video there, and I thought we should share that with the fine viewers or listeners.
No. Yeah, that is great. And I have, man, for years, ever since I got my first phone, with a camera on it. I've envisioned all of these crazy scenarios that I could use for that. And this is one of them. So one of them that never came to fruition and now I don't care about is I used to log like what my gas mileage was. So when I would get gas, I would log how much gas I bought and what my mileage was and all of that, and try to figure all that stuff out. Now I don't buy gas, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But in my head, like I remember doing that on my smartphone and thinking that was the coolest thing ever because I didn't have to do it in a book, and I'm typing on my, and I'm like, this thing's got a camera. Like, why am I not taking a picture of the pump that has the price and the gallons, and then taking a picture of my odometer, and then having the phone figure those numbers out and just enter them in for me? I mean, that was like 10 years ago. But this barcode scanner stuff, this is the dream. This is all the stuff. Like, never write anything down if you can take a picture of it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really trying to empower some of these customers with, right? Because a lot of them are putting apps in the hands of non-technical, factory workers, construction people, service techs, and creating and printing barcodes is trivial, expensive, pennies.
Yeah, it's just a font essentially. It's just
Yeah, so start putting barcodes on stuff instead of having this poor guy type in where he's at or what he's doing, right? We have barcodes, boom, 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 and so we're speeding up the data entry from these tech people, and it's a big deal. So I like it.
Yeah, so we've seen over the years, and we've mocked bad QR codes because they're so abused. But there are a bunch of uses like the one that you just named that is a great use for QR codes. Like parts inside of something. If somebody needs to order a replacement part for something, don't make them type in the number for it or a description. Have a QR code. Have an app that just scans it. Poof, we need another widget from Spacely Sprockets. That is exactly what QR codes are for.
That is perfect. Yeah, and the other weird thing about all that, so to do the app, I did a bunch of research. I know me preparing for something seems really crazy.
I don't believe anything about this. So this is a fable at best.
But there's probably 20 or 30 different types of barcodes in the world. I was really shocked at like all of these different, because as you said, they're basically a font.
Yep.
And there's just different character sets, and then there's a black and white, like there's a reverse of all of them. And it was really kind of fun. I went on this site and started making them and testing which ones worked for the app and stuff. And who knew?
Yep. Our licenses, at least in Iowa, I assume everywhere else, have a barcode on the back that is our license number, so they can just scan it. But again, it's just a font. There's nothing funny in there. It's just, just the number of our driver's license.
I want to scan it now and see if I can scan mine.
Yeah, I've done it, and it worked. Because I was curious what they had in there. Like, do they have, secret information about me or something? No, it's just my driver's license number.
Cool.
Much like me, very unexciting. Yeah. So that's a good app, and I love seeing all the new ways that Power Apps enable people that aren't very smart, like yourself, to leverage the power of their phones and the location and the camera and all that kind of stuff. Really like it.
Yeah. Well, you also mentioned talking about driver's licenses and the fact I'm going to the airport in like an hour. Reminded me. So based on your TSA fiascos, I'm trying to get ahead of the problem.
Yeah.
And so far, I have not found a way to do. I can't, right? The same problems you were having. Basically, our numbers don't equate to anything other than they work.
Yeah.
There seems to be no way to connect the dots. So.
Yeah. For those of you, I don't remember if we talked about this in the show or not, but for probably 10 years, I think, I've been getting TSA pre-check through Delta. Delta signed me up for it. Delta did everything. I just know that one day I went to the airport and they said, go to the special line, sir. And it was all done from there. And part of the TSA pre-check is you have a known traveler number. So if you put it in Delta, it gets put on your boarding passes all the time. So I flew here a month ago and didn't have it anymore. I started checking around, and apparently my pre-check had expired. Delta didn't offer that service anymore, and they didn't tell me they didn't offer that service anymore. So I had to go through security like the little people, which was horrible. I don't know why people fly. So the fiasco that Shane's talking about was I tried to get this renewed. Well, they want to know what your old username and password was, except I didn't have one because I didn't sign up for it. So then they want to know what your known traveler number is. So I gave that to them, except that didn't map to anything. And it just became this huge mess. So I can tell you there's a somewhat happy ending to this story.
Oh.
Yesterday, I went down to the identification place in Des Moines and got all the stuff done. So I think pre-check will be in my future here in the next week or two. But the tale of woe that I have for people is if you've signed up for pre-check, either through your airline or whatever, it expires every 5 years. So put a note in Outlook now, a month before it expires, to renew it in 4 years and 11 months, something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out when mine expired either.
No, I couldn't either. And I called Delta and they're like, oh yeah, we don't do that anymore. I'm like, look, could you give me a heads up? She's like, oh yeah, that expired January 13th. If only there was a way you could contact me as I'm looking at the page with every number and address that's associated with me. If only you had that information.
So did you schedule an appointment with the local TSA folks, and that's you just waited on your appointment, and then you went back in and answered the 6 stupid questions or whatever, and just started over basically?
Yeah, just like a brand new one. Yeah.
And did you ask them at all about these shenanigans, or?
I did not want to cause any whatever. I did not want to talk them out of giving me pre-check. Gotcha. So I just answered all the questions, and they took my picture, and I don't have it yet, but I assume that it's all going to go well.
That's yeah. And Lori's saying, hey, make sure you go and get it renewed earlier than 4 years and 11 months.
Yeah, well, and so Lori and I are also fighting a separate but related thing that our global entry, well, mine has expired, hers will expire. But that, I think, has been gummed up by the government shutdown. The global entry is a bigger deal than the pre-check is, and that is taking a long time because I found out that same day that had also expired. So I get, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how that. So I have global entry also, which I've never used, thankfully. But my my passport's been expired for 2 years now, probably, but my global entry hasn't expired, so I don't know how that would really play itself out. But I keep meaning to renew my passport, and I just keep not.
Yeah. And that reminds, so I don't have it in here, but I think I talked about it a little bit maybe last week or the week before. This great website, or not website, but a couple of web posts from a person I follow on podcast who's got some travel tips. And she's much like us. She travels a bunch for speaking engagements and all that, but she's a touch more neurotic than we are. And so she's got some trip tips for people who travel too much. I found some solidarity with that. I'll have to remember that. Post that sometime.
All right. Back to what we were supposed to be talking about. I mean, this is more interesting because it affects us.
Yes. So a couple of PowerShell things. You and I both have been playing with PowerShell a bit lately. So there's some PowerShell things in here. First of all, I subscribe to the PNP PowerShell GitHub repository, and I see all the bugs and all that kind of stuff. And one thing came across here a couple days ago from Erwin. Erwin von Hunen is the godfather of the PowerShell PNP. And somebody had a bug where this didn't work, that didn't work. And he posted this really great description of the bug, this comment that explained what to do if you have more than one version of SharePoint that you're using the PNP PowerShell with. So either online and on-prem, or on-prem 2013 and on-prem 2016, something like that, and kind of a behind-the-scenes thing and how you should handle this. And I thought this was really great, so I put a link in here because I think it might solve some problems for folks. Basically, Erwin's advice is only have one version of the PNP PowerShell installed at a time. So even though when you try to do the update, it offers to install them side by side, don't do that. And then only install the version for the oldest version of SharePoint that you're accessing. So if you're doing 2013 and 2016, install the 2013. If you're doing 2016 and online, only do 2016. The reason is that part of the PNP PowerShell installation package includes the CSOM package, the client-side object model package. And what you don't want is to install the 2016 client-side object model that thinks it can do things that your 2013 server doesn't understand, and that the PowerShell command lists don't understand. So basically what he's telling you to do is install one thing and have that one thing be the least common denominator.
That makes complete sense. It's
totally. Everything that Erwin says makes complete sense.
Right, that's the beauty of Erwin. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to add. Yes, exactly what Erwin said.
Yeah, so I've found myself in this situation where I'm doing on-prem and online things, and this is just from the man himself with a proper explanation that makes everything fit together. One version at a place. So what I normally do is I have the online version installed on my desktops.
Yep.
And then if I need the on-prem version, I put it on the server itself.
Yeah. Speaking of installing the online, I don't know if we ever covered it or not, but I was, because I had to work on it this week earlier also. You can install it straight from the install the module now, right? So instead of downloading and getting it, you can do install module PNP, whatever, and go and get it.
Yep, you can. Yep, you can do that, and that's actually on their install page. There's just you can highlight it, copy it, and so that brings us. So let's do. We'll skip yours and come back to that. So we were just talking about the PNP, the patterns and practices PowerShell, Microsoft's official SharePoint Online PowerShell, the PNP's wimpy older brother. That is updated once a month-ish. That an update for that came out in February, but that also sort of installs that way, sort of goes through the gallery. You can sort of do install module name Microsoft.online.sharepoint.PowerShell. I say sort of because I've gotten the install to work, but I have never in my life gotten the update or upgrade to work, regardless. If I do it with the EXE, if I do it with the gallery, never. And I'm fighting that hell right now on one of my boxes.
I'm with you. Every time I go to get to the latest version, that's why I'm currently still in one of the older versions, just because I don't have time to deal with it and the older version does what I need to do. So it's a pain in the butt to get those things to rev.
Yeah, every time I've tried to update this particular one, this is the SPO commandlets, I have had to go into the file system and manually delete files and directories. I close all my PowerShell things down, delete files, and I've done that on this box now, but I think I'm gonna actually have to reboot the box because I just can't install the module. And I don't get any errors. I run install module, everything comes back except it's not there. I can't do anything.
Details.
But that's out. This month they didn't add much to it. There's just a couple of commandlets. I forget what they do, but they're not big changes. But it's good to keep that stuff updated. I'm sure there's some bug fixes and things like that in there. So if you in the unlikely event that you can get it upgraded, you should.
And I always just think of that one just for doing hyper specific things, right? I need to go do some GDPR setting that they're never going to give me a UI for.
Yeah.
Make it there.
Yeah, I was writing some PowerShell for a customer last week, and everything that I wrote, the actual functionality, I could do with the PNP. And since it was for a customer, I didn't want them to have to install any more modules than they had to. Like I had to have the PNP, so that one they had to install. But I was trying really hard not to do anything with the SPO because that was just one more thing they'd have to download. There were a couple of things, again, high-level stuff, basically error checking things that would have been easier to do in SPO, but I ended up finding a way to do it in PNP just so they wouldn't have to download another module. So that might be the first time in my life that I ever wished that I had the SPO module, because like there was one command that would have done the thing that I wanted. I'm like, all right, how can I trick the PNP into giving me this information? Found a way to do it, but it was tough.
Yeah, well, that's especially when you're having non-technical users, right? So the PowerShell that I wrote this week was for a guy that can't paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I basically had to write all the PowerShell, and I made it an icon. You just double click, answer some questions, and go, because there was just no, and that's probably too technical still.
Yeah, and that's something I've when I teach PowerShell classes or when I do the Office 365 PowerShell, I talk about there's a very prescribed progression in PowerShell skills. You know, you start by, running a command to getting a thing, and then your next step is maybe going out to somebody's blog and finding some stuff, and then maybe two commands, one pipe to the other, and then you get to the point where you can't get everything on one line, so you have to do it. I mean, there's just and I'm at the spot now where I try to write tools. I try to write PowerShell that my mom can run, and so that just brings lots of tries and catches, lots of that kind of stuff, because I do want to make the script just rock solid so that anybody can run it.
Yeah. The only challenge with that, like thinking about the case this week is, basically to write that tool, because you and I are consultants, right? We charge people by the hour. So I wrote him the version that I could write in an hour, and so I didn't get to like tries and catches and things like that, because I just
No.
I see the benefit, but at the same time, it was like, well, it's going to cost you another blah. And so, that's even more advanced, right? When you have to start thinking about, okay, how much can I put into my tool and still be cost conscious?
Yeah, and I had that exact problem. I was trying to figure out. So one of the things that I've read about this is something that was big in the military and probably in civilian world too. It was after we do a training exercise, we'd always have the AAR, the after action review, to talk about what happened. And I think in business probably there's a thing called a post-mortem, where you look at something that went bad and you're like, all right, what went bad? What could we have done better? So I was reading some stuff before that said instead of doing post-mortems, you should try to do pre-mortems. you should try to figure out ahead of time what people are going to screw up, where things could go wrong, and then plan for it. And so I was kind of doing that with the script. I'm like, all right, so here's, trying to sanitize the input to make sure it is, I'm asking for this, but I know what that is, or they might put this in. And I kind of did a bunch of that stuff to make it easy to use and completely missed the other things that they were going to do wrong. I ended up having to go back and fix later. But it all worked out. They didn't balk at the price, so that's good.
Yeah. No, yeah. The postmortem stuff, it's got a bad rap in the business world, right? Because it's generally a postmortem is led by some pointy hair manager who provided no value whatsoever, who does
and they're just looking to blame somebody.
Yeah, right. And so, yeah, unfortunately, postmortems, because they have a lot of great values, but they've gotten just such a nasty connotation that no responsible, person who actually could do it well would ever say, hey, let's have a postmortem, because people would be like, what's wrong with you? Are you becoming an executive?
Yeah. Yep. So you've got a thing in here. You wrote a fun script for a customer. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, the one that I worked through was, and you helped indirectly. You didn't even realize it. But so it was a customer who, once again, super non-technical. He wants to be able, anytime, it's a property management company. So anytime they buy a new property, they spin up a SharePoint site to do that. So we went and designed a template or a SharePoint site that had all the pieces, the colors, the pictures. It's got to look pretty. Ugh. So through the PMP, I figured out how to turn that site into a template.
Okay.
Yay me. And that took a lot more effort than you thought, because turning a site into a template is pretty straightforward, but turning a site into a template plus getting the files and the folders and all those pieces out takes more than just one command.
Yes.
So I got through all that, and I had a working template. It ends up being like this whole structure. So I had the template structure. So then what I needed to do is give him a PowerShell script that he could run. And basically I say, all right, what's your username and password? So I do the get credentials, throw him in the box. He puts that in. What do you want to name the site? So he types in, property XYZ. Yep. And then it creates that site in PowerShell. So that's where I stole from you that whole create me a team site with a proper groupified site via PowerShell.
Gotcha.
So we do that. Then what I found out was I had to wait 60 seconds, right? So you create it, and then I literally just do the whole sleep for 60.
Yep.
And then when I get done sleeping for 60, then I connect to that site, and then I apply the template, and then I tell him it's done.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, right? It sounds like super trivial. You're like, I can do all those things. But getting it together in a package that someone who has no idea what PowerShell is could run and do was a little more work than I expected. But it works out, and so it's all automatable. And what I would really love to do, if he had the budget, he doesn't, is to go and set it up as an Azure function that ran the PowerShell, so I could just give him a big button in Power Apps that says, make me a site, and then Flow triggers that, and it goes. But we're never going to get there. So
I was surprised that wasn't what you did, but the budget makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you have to get in... Right. One day, I hope they'll give me the ability from Flow just to run some PowerShell. I don't know how they would do that, but it's not my problem. I want them to solve that.
Yeah.
If that had been the case, I would have wired it up. But because I had to go sign him up for an Azure subscription and then set up an Azure Logic app, I just wasn't having it.
Yeah. So. Interesting. Yeah, and that's the fun of this, and it's basically what engineering is: taking known pieces and putting them together in different ways to build functionality. So that's, I do like those kind of things, breaking it down into tasks.
Right, assembling the Lego bricks. Our buddy Daniel's big into his Legos, and
Yep, that is all good. Speaking of PowerShell, last week I think I talked about a Windows 10 debloater project that I'd run across that I thought was pretty good. And then Ali in the chat room said, hey, that's a really great idea. I did it too. So I wanted to give Ali a shout out also, and I'll put a link to his PowerShell in the chat room and in the show notes. But basically, this is just a way to trim out a bunch of the cruft, the bloat in Windows 10. His script is huge. It is a couple thousand lines, but it's a bunch of, defining things and then letting you pick what things you pull out. And it's got some great functions in it that you can just pull out if you wanted to. Like I've got a couple of module files that I use that has everything that I've ever built in it. And so I might add some of these just because they do things. Like one of the things I always do is ungroup my taskbar. That's one of the things I hate. I have a module that does that. It just pokes a registry key He's got something like that. So just a bunch of great things in there that I've never thought to tweak.
Yeah,
So
well, good job, Ali. And it's one of the things I just realized as you were talking about that is I haven't had to think about Windows 10 in probably 6 months. I feel like we finally have gotten to a point, right? I mean, the updates don't make my machine grind to a halt anymore. It just works. So, kudos. We finally got to the point in the life cycle where Windows 10 is a non-event for me, and good job, Microsoft.
yeah, and the only reason I was talking about it was I was talking about my new Surface Go and using some small devices and wanting to shut some of that stuff off because resources were so restrained. But I agree with you. For the most part, I don't think about Windows anymore. It just mostly works. So yeah.
Well, good job. That's I like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal some of his stuff. It's good. So now they're worried in the chat room. Windows 10.1 will come out. I think Microsoft said that they have no plans for anything ever being called anything other than Windows 10. Like that's just the name from here on out.
I wonder how long is this story going to last, right?
Well, I saw some posts. I didn't put it in here, but they're trying that new Light OS. The pared down version of Windows. That's the other thing. My Surface Go is running Windows 10 in S mode.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving that for a while, partially because I didn't I knew in the back of my head that's what it did, but I hadn't bumped up against that being a problem for probably a week or two. I'm like, I would have thought this was a bigger deal. It's not, so I'm going to let it run for a while because it's pretty easy to switch it over to full mode. So I'm going to let it run. I'm doing some traveling next week and the week after, so I'll leave it in S mode as long as I can, but it's not bad. Still loving the Surface Go.
Good. Yeah, but no, I think it's be a great academic exercise, right? I mean, there's just no chance 10 years from now we're still all running Windows 10.
No, certainly not.
So at some point the world is going to rebel and we're going to completely go back, get the whole cloud will become the norm, and so the cool new kids will all be doing on-prem local installs only, and that'll be the new trendy thing, and so it'll be like Windows 11, the version that doesn't require the cloud, right? Everything will come full circle. It always does, and I don't know. I'm fascinated by the whole idea that and I believe them to say at this very moment, they do not have a vision for not having Windows 10, but I also completely believe that is not going to manifest itself out.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. In 10 years and 100 years, yeah. But for the foreseeable future, it's just going to be called Windows 10.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's the same theory, right, that I don't think my kids will ever drive. I don't think my kids will have cell phones. At some point, that stuff all has to... Something new and magical that we can't even imagine is going to happen.
Yep. Lori in the chat room is asking if I got the Surface Go with LTE. I did. That was one of the things that I bought it for. And I'm using it with AT&T. Having pretty good luck with it. I haven't tried it with my Google Fi account yet. I assume it will work. But yeah, that's... I've been pretty happy with it. I haven't used it a lot. Like I've taken it a bunch of places, like when I went to get my picture taken and all that stuff for the pre-check yesterday, I took it with me because I'm like, I'm going to be sitting in this room for a while and all that. So I took it with me and then I'm like, man, I'm just going to look like a turd with this thing. So I didn't even take it inside. I just used my phone, but I've used it a few places away from home. Works great. Windows 10 handles that stuff pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it.
Very nice. Can't believe AT&T's working well for you, but that's a different conversation.
So the last time I did a speed test, I got like 30 megabits down. Talked a lot about stuff I like about Microsoft. Now it's time to talk about something I don't like as much, and that's Teams. I have many laments about Teams. It's not important to go through all of them, but one of the things is the horrible support for having multiple accounts and multiple tenants. It's just unbearable. And the folks at User Voice have come to my aid. Somebody created a user voice called I want to use multiple Teams accounts at the same time. So the link to that is in the chat room. So you can go there, you can vote. Before we get too far down this road, let's set expectations correctly. The product teams at Microsoft do not look at user voice and only do the things that have the most votes. That does not happen. But what does happen is the product teams have a list of things that they would like to figure out how to fix with their products, and they don't have enough time to fix them all. So as they're figuring out their priorities, they look at user voice and they say, oh, this thing over here that we can fix has a lot of votes. Maybe we should focus on that. And this thing over here that we think we can fix, but nobody seems to care about, we're not going to play with right now. So user voice is just another part of that decision-making process. Having said that, I encourage you all, especially if you're frustrated by this with Teams, to go out to this user voice and vote early, vote often on wanting to be able to use multiple Teams accounts at the same time.
Well, I hope they get it straight because Teams still makes me a little annoyed with that stuff.
Yeah, I have gone so far. I'm just going to make this the homepage to all of my browsers. So every morning when I come up and I start my browser, it's just going to come up with this user voice. It's going to remind me to vote. I will vote. It is, it's horrible.
Yeah. And I saw that they announced, I think they're rolling out now, a bunch of changes to the meetings component of Teams, which, I mean, doesn't address this, but...
Right. Just another on the long list of grievances.
Yeah, but yeah, I hope they go after it. But I still, in that documentation anyway, there was no reference to fixing, giving me the Meet Now button that I really need to, really truly get away from Skype.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff around meetings and Teams that just doesn't work very well. Yeah, that's a topic for another show. But yes, if you care about that, go out and vote that up. Another thing that I had to help somebody with this week that I didn't want to do, much like using Teams, but I had to, was I had a customer ask me how they can hide things from the waffle in SharePoint 2016. Specifically, they wanted to hide OneDrive, which makes my heart sad. I like OneDrive. I felt bad telling them to do this, but they're the customer, and Mark said I had to. So my gut was just to tell them that you can't. That it can't be done, but he knew better, so he made me tell them. So I'm going to put this in the chat room, but you can, with CSS, hide the things that show up in the waffle in SharePoint 2016. So if you want to hide OneDrive or news or whatever, it is possible. You're a horrible person if you do it, but it is possible.
Well, you're a horrible person for using CSS to hide anything at this point, right? I mean,
that is probably true.
Every time that people want to have any conversations about CSS or JavaScript on their SharePoint sites, I just smack them on the nose. Like, no, I'm not talking. I'm not going to help you with that. It's going to end poorly. Yep.
And the final thing I wanted to talk about, this is mostly just a PSA, a public service announcement. Over the years, you and I have talked about the Facebook mobile app and things like that and all the egregious things that Facebook does. This one is egregious. I don't know, but it's something I wanted to make you aware of. We've also talked in the past about how two-factor authentication is something everybody should be using. And for cloud services that provide it, OneDrive and Dropbox and Facebook and Google and Microsoft and all those, turn two-factor on. So two-factor is something your password, and something you have, like a fob or your phone. Or in the case of people that aren't as technically inclined, it's something you can forget and something you can lose. But either way, it's that thing. And probably the most easy way to enable two-factor auth is SMS messages on your phone. Everybody's got their phone with them. All the big two-factor auth things support that. And so Facebook supports that. And if you want to use two-factor auth with Facebook, one of the things you can do is give them your mobile phone number, and they will send you a message when somebody tries to log into your account. Seems pretty good. I like that. Kudos to Facebook for offering two-factor auth. That's good. What we found, though, well, not we, I didn't find it, I stole from somebody else, is once you give them your mobile phone number for two-factor auth, if you don't test anything or change anything, now people can use your mobile phone number to find your Facebook account. So if somebody sees Shane's phone number on a bathroom wall somewhere, they can go to Facebook and not know who it is and search for that phone number and find out it's you, and you live in Cincinnati, and they can do a friend request and all that kind of stuff. So I think that stinks that Facebook is using a security measure for marketing or to expand their base. I don't like that.
I mean, I agree with you. I don't know. It's tough though, right? Because so many people are not like us, right? And they're just like, whatever, my phone number's out there and you've got it, and helping people find me, right? Those are the same people that say, sure, Facebook, you can search my entire email inbox and email everyone in there and see if they want to be my friend, right?
Yeah.
So I guess Facebook probably did the math and said there was more of the people that wanted to have as many possible ways than the people that were not.
Yeah.
And that's what they did, but.
So the good news is, by default, anybody who can fog up a mirror can go to facebook.com and search for your number and find you. But if you go into your page and then your picture and settings, one of the privacy settings is who can use that. Unfortunately, there is no one. So you have everybody on God's green earth, friends and friends of friends or friends. So that's as tight as you can get it for them. So I've got it set to friends only, but
I just don't care.
and that's fine. It's good that you have an option. I guess I just wish that I don't remember when I set all that stuff up, but I wish that would have been more obvious at the time that, hey, if you give us your phone number for security thing, we're also going to make it searchable so that anybody on the planet can search your phone number, find out who you are.
Would that have stopped you?
I would have set it to friends only.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It wouldn't have stopped me from using it for security, but yeah.
Yeah, and Facebook's a tough one also. So like I saw, Lent is upon us, or starts today, or Friday, right?
Yep.
It's
Today.
This week.
Yep, today. Lent, yeah.
And so with that, I saw the people posting, all right, peace out Facebook, I'll be back in 40 days, right? They're giving up Facebook for 40 days. And and I keep thinking, like, maybe I just want to get rid of Facebook. Right? Because I don't care, right? I go and see the pictures of you doing stupid stuff. I enjoy mocking you from time to time, but
you certainly do, yeah.
But I enjoy interacting with your mom. I miss her. But for the most part, I mean, if Facebook went away tomorrow, I probably wouldn't care. So why not rip it off my phone? But the one thing I really enjoy the most out of it is I'm a sucker for photos of my kids, right?
Yeah.
So seeing pictures of my kids is probably 97.2% of the reason I stay on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just rambling. But I keep thinking about giving up, getting off of Facebook altogether. But I probably won't ever do it. So
Probably not, and I hope you don't. I enjoy the mocking and all that. Been a lot of chatter in the chat room about all of this. Kyle brings up an interesting thing. If you enable two-factor auth, and for God's sakes you should, everywhere that you can, Microsoft properties, Google properties, Facebook, whatever. If you use your phone for two-factor auth, understand that if your phone doesn't work, you can't use that second factor. I got caught in that, so I have an Android phone. I have two-factor turned on for Google, and I reset my phone. Factory reset because I had some problems. Tried to sign into my phone with my Gmail account. It said, hey, that's great that you got the password. We're going to send you a two-factor thing to your phone. Except I couldn't because I couldn't log into my phone because I didn't have my two-factor auth. So it took me about an hour to get around all of that. So if you set up two-factor auth, and you should, there's a couple of things that you can do to mitigate that. You can set up a backup phone number, like in my case, my wife's phone number, so I can have the two-factor thing sent to her, and she can give it to me, and I can log into my phone. You can also download one-time use codes. They'll all offer that, so I can say, I need two-factor auth, but I've got this printed out sheet of 8 codes in my desk that I can use that will work once, that I can get in with, things like that. So make sure you understand what happens when your phone is dead.
Yep. I usually hate on my Apple and my iPhone. They do a pretty good job with a lot of that, and accepting that your phone is your phone, right? That they get that this is the thing for the two-factor verification for some of the stuff. And so the fact that, like, when I lose my Apple password, because I literally don't know what it is, because it changes. They have stupid requirements, whatever. But I can basically, as long as I can get into my phone, it says, oh, we know it's you because you're into your phone with your fingerprint or your code or whatever. And then it'll let me change my password right in there. So Apple does a really good job, I think, of kind of giving you ways to get around that problem you had with the Google stuff. So
Yeah, but would that work if you factory reset your phone? Because that's where I was.
But they've solved all the other ways that could have screwed me up.
Yeah, and this was 4 or 5 years ago when I had this problem, so we've come a long way.
Yeah.
Tangentially, I listened to a hacker podcast here last week that was talking about all of the things that Apple is doing to keep people from being able to steal iPhones and then re-sign up. So all the different authentication things and tying phones to accounts, and then the way to do that when you're the rightful owner and you can't. Having never owned an iPhone, it's interesting, that whole landscape. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and they have a bunch of those, but I can tell you that the people in the Apple Store, at least a couple of years ago, could completely override any of that.
Right. That was part of it. Yeah. So then they have to be able to. And that was part of it. So part of it is regular folks like you who are just for whatever reason can't get logged in. Part of it is people who do repairs on phones or buy used phones or whatever. That's a legitimate thing. But then there's the bad guys who steal your phone. So trying to figure out how to make it super easy for the legitimate folks and impossible for the bad folks is difficult.
Yeah. I found it really interesting because we rolled in there. Nicola had bought one from somebody in San Antonio.
Yep.
Walked in the store and they're like, well, that's, not you. Right? Basically saying, you've stolen this phone. And she's like, no, I didn't. I bought it from somebody. He said, okay. And just moved on. Right? I'm like, I feel like you were supposed to do a little more.
There should have been more. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. We've rambled on enough. Let's talk about what we're going to be doing. So Monday, so just a few days from now, I'm going to be driving down to Kansas City, talking to the Kansas City user group about groups, unified groups, Office 365 groups. Looking forward to that. That should be a good time. And then on Wednesday, driving back down south again to the North American Collaboration Summit. That's Mark Rackley's Hootenanny down in Branson. Lori will be there. I believe you're coming down as well.
I am.
Lynn in the chat room, I'm going to get to see her. There's going to be a whole bunch of folks there. So if you're down there, I'm getting in on Wednesday. I'm leaving Friday because I'm flying someplace else Saturday. So if you want to hang out in Branson with me, come find me Wednesday or Thursday. And love to see folks. I'm doing a session on Azure AD. You're doing some Power App stuff. I forget.
And when are you leaving on Friday?
Friday morning sometime.
Oh, I guess I won't see you then.
When are you getting in?
Friday morning. I land at 11. My session is at 1, so I'll be scurrying as fast as I can from the airport to the...
Yeah, I've got like a 6-hour drive, 7-hour drive, depending on what charging's like. So
I probably I'm not saying wait on me. I'm just saying.
I wasn't going to. No.
But yeah, so then I'll be there Friday afternoon, and then I have the all-day thing on Saturday. So.
Yep. So we'll have that, and then so we probably won't be doing the podcast. Well, you'll be around Wednesday because you're not driving down Wednesday. But then the week after that, you and I are going to be at the MVP Summit in Seattle. So I don't know what we're going to do then, but hopefully in 3 weeks we'll figure something out. Then Friday, March 30th. No, Friday, March 29th. You're doing the PowerShell thing in Omaha.
Yes. Yep. So all day PowerShell and Flow, and it's only $50. So if you're in the neighborhood, you can get there for $50. It's a steal. So
it really, truly all day Power App session with Shane Young for $50. That's ridiculous.
But then they did cancel the SharePoint Saturday that was supposed to be there in Omaha for Saturday, right? So it's just a Friday thing now. So
yep. SharePoint Saturday, they lost their venue. They got double booked, and it's been rescheduled to August sometime. Yeah, so then that Saturday, I'm flying to Stockholm for the SharePoint Exchange Forum 2019. Can't wait to do that. So I'll be there. If you're going to be there at the SharePoint Exchange Forum, come find me. Say how do or say hey, as they do in Sweden. And then May, SharePoint Conference, the big dog, May 21st.
Yeah, I still like this idea of us having poolside cabana sessions at SharePoint Conference.
I wonder how much pool boys cost because I'm thinking that. I like your just keep bringing me fruity drinks with umbrellas in them, and yeah.
Right. I mean, part of me wants to just have like an all-day Power Apps poolside workshop. Charge a nominal couple bucks to make it all go, and then part of me wants to. I'm guessing that the SharePoint conference folks would be a little mad at me if I.
They would have an opinion on that, yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't completely ruled it out yet.
Yep, just a bunch of folks sitting in a hot tub chatting about Power Apps all day. Yeah.
All right, we can bring our fancy little surfaces and teach from there. And
Poolside Power Apps. I like it.
I'm not saying I'm not doing it yet.
Awesome. But if you're going to be at any of those events, come find Shane or I. We're super friendly folks, so come up and say howdy. Definitely. We would love to chat with you. All right, let's close this down. Chat room. We'll be sticking around for a few minutes, so don't run off just yet. And I will talk to you sometime this week about what we're doing next week and the week after. But stay tuned, listeners. You can find us on YouTube, Todd Clint Podcast. We're on Twitter at Todd Clint, at Shane's Cows. Hook up with us, however, and we'll get back with you in a couple of weeks.
See you guys.
Visual cue. All right.
So I should be able to do next week's by myself.
Yeah, I'll be driving down, so I won't. I suppose I could call in.
I think I'll just do it by myself.
Mm-hmm. And we should. I wonder where I'll be at 10 o'clock. If it worked, like if I was at a charger or something, but I'll be past that by then. So yeah, and then the week after, I assume we just don't do it because we're going to be at Summit.
Yeah, I think Summit's just a complete pass. There's just no reason to even try to.
You're flying out Monday?
Did I book that yet?
You should book that.
I really meant to.
So that's 8 o'clock. Have you done the session builder yet for the Summit?
No.
So that is out there. I don't know if I've got anything at this time on Wednesday morning or not.
Man, if I didn't book this flight, I'm going to be really mad at myself. I get first class this afternoon.
Awesome.
Oh, I did book it. Shoo. I kept waiting. Yeah, so I land Monday at 8:45 a.m.
Okay.
And then I leave whenever. So hopefully we can catch up with your family at some point one of the nights. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll be around. I'll
ditch all the other dodo birds to see Joe and the kids.
So Wednesday at 8:30 a.m., which would be podcasting time, there's a session I want to go to.
It's just too hard. I think I take a bunch of extra stuff to do it, and
yeah, yep, sure do.
what do I have? I guess I need to find that link
For the builder.
Yeah,
I will send it to you. It's probably in your junk mail. That's where it seems to show up for everybody.
oh, there it is. Click here.
Click
Yeah,
there.
well, unfortunately, they send all my stuff to an email, like my Team Squid email address. Yeah.
Yep, your Hotmail. Same here. Yeah. Yep. Same here.
That's not what I meant to do. Yeah, somebody posted some subscribe to the Journal of Accountancy, so I got that loaded up.
Yeah, it's like $80 a year, $70 a year.
True, never mind.
I can just I can send you our used issues after we're done with them.
Yeah, the pages probably stick together.
And it'll be the good ones too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of a poolside event, but I mean, I'm guessing for that show, I'm gonna go do our one day and leave the next. I mean,
I will not be probably quite that aggressive, but similar. And I feel bad. So for the people that have breakout sessions, last I heard, they don't know when those sessions are, but they're getting pressured to make their travel. So.
Yeah. I'm just not going to say anything. I feel the same way about the session builder I'm currently looking at, that we got outside or inside of the 2-week window where any responsible human would have booked their travel.
Yeah, it's bad stuff. So, all right. So you're doing it alone next week. We're off in 2 weeks, back in 3 weeks. I will be out in 4 weeks. So I will be in Sweden Wednesday the 3rd. So, but good after that.
Does this session builder have like the nighttime schedules? I mean, I assume there's nighttime crap that we have to know about.
I don't. So there are some. Well, it'll have whatever, like the product group stuff. Like on Wednesday night, it's got the attendee celebration at the Hyatt. Tuesday night, it's got the happy hours, that kind of stuff.
Okay. No. Anyway. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm gonna go and do. Like I said, I got to leave for the airport in 59 minutes, and I haven't even packed. Not that surprises anyone.
You'll be fine. All right, get out of here. I will chat with you later.
See ya.
Bye.